Welcome to the White and Blue Podcast. I'm Doug Goodnow, and my co-host is Colleen McGinnis. We are here to tell the interesting stories of Hillsdale College alumni, or more accurately, help them share their own stories. Here's a little bit about today's guest. Jonathon Dues from the class of 2003 was a former basketball standout at Hillsdale. Now he is combining his love for basketball and business. Dues is the co-founder of Swish House, the world's first basketball fitness community for adults. Learn more about this innovative business venture and also about his time as a Charger. Jonathon, thank you for joining us today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much, Doug. Colleen, for having me.
Yes, it is.
Thrilled to be here.
Well, it's very fun to have you in this capacity 20 plus years later after we were students.
I know.
The same time frame. So
99 to 03.
Yeah, I didn't hang out much with you. You were too cool with all your basketball guys.
No,
but,
stop.
It was fun to watch you on the court. So.
Thank you so much.
But it's also been fun following your career and all of the things you've been doing so successfully in finance and your family life. But one, I think, very interesting thing, and one reason you're here is the Swish House venture. And I'd love to learn more about that, share with the audience specifically what you're doing, what Swish House, what the concept is.
Indeed. I always explain the business in two parts. It's most people categorize us in the world of adult boutique fitness, kind of like everybody's familiar, I'm sure, in some capacity with CrossFit, Orange Theory Fitness, there's Soul Cycle, some of these mega, especially in major cities, these adult fitness experiences. There's boxing fitness classes called Tidal, Rumble that are multi-billion-dollar companies at this stage where adults go train like a boxer in your 20s, 30s, 40s. That's where I came up with the idea for Swish House. Oddly, in Chicago, I had this idea to add a Tidal boxing workout. It was in my neighborhood, I went to try it. You buy boxing gloves, you beat up a heavy bag for a while. And I had this epiphany, man, I think people would, how many people do I know have ever boxed? And not that many. I always love asking people, how many people do you know have ever gotten in a ring and beat somebody up? Not that many. But how many people how many people do you know that played basketball? Not that we're college or pros that played on their 8th grade team, their 9th grade, or just enjoy it. And I was God, I think people would show up as some 30-year-old, 40-year-old dude or gal would show up and get worked out and do shooting drills and contests and maybe not have the risk of getting injured. So I started thinking it through in my mind. And we came up with basically, I called my smartest friend from childhood. His name's Dave Holtzmiller. He played collegiate basketball as well. And we came up with this idea to create an adult basketball-centric fitness community where you could buy a membership and get on an underutilized local court. So think of it as, that's kind of the other kind of aspect of it, is we're in that same business sector. I always explain as Airbnb and Uber. So activating underutilized assets and running a business out of them, a car or somebody's awesome condo in Miami, Florida or something that just sits dormant. You can now put on Airbnb some of them. So it was gosh, and if you do that, the overhead for the model, the business is really low. You don't have a real estate play. A lot of these other businesses, you have to have this monster overhead. You have to be rich to open up an Orange Theory Fitness. That's the kind of the punchline is it's a very expensive franchisees that you would, have to do in order to run some of these other fitness companies. So we had this idea of wow, what if we went around, activated and bought up a bunch of unused basketball courts in Chicago and New York, created an app. And if you're, a casual NBA fan and just, maybe played on your 6th, 7th grade team, you need to lose a few pounds, you want to go catch instead of getting on a treadmill, you could go do something super fun, like doing shooting contest drills, the things you used to do as a player, as a kid, or for me as a collegiate player, I was pretty decent college player because I outworked everybody. Was the guy that was shooting 300 threes a day or something, there's a lot of junky basketball players that just love to shoot and run. And so we just had we started riffing on it as kind of a fun entrepreneurial idea in 2016, 2017, 18. And then we actually brought in a few real angel investors and brought in a full-time employee, and during the pandemic raised some money and went from kind of a fun idea into a real thing that's now humming in New York City and in Chicago. And then we're planning to take it to 50 cities within the next, I'd say 7 or 8 years, hopefully faster. But think of it as, we're going to franchise it all over the country. I think it could be a global business if we really execute. But right now it's just a small business. It's really going well in Chicago, New York. And so think of it as you're, as an adult, you buy a membership to Swish House the same way you might to a CrossFit gym, whether you're in Hillsdale or in Detroit or in San Francisco. You can catch basketball-centric workouts. And if you really still like to play competitively, you can catch organized, high-quality, consistent pickup games that are competitive for those people who still like to get their juices playing. And because the workout classes are non-contact, you can be LeBron James or an out-of-shape 70.
No.
There you go. You could, or people are literally like novices. Like we have novices that might come with, a girl might bring her boyfriend who's never played, and she played at Michigan, and brings her boyfriend who's like played, isn't a real great basketball player, but can do the class because it's just team-based shooting contests, stations, a whole litany of like really fun kind of strength, conditioning, flexibility, mobility drills that we've gamified. It makes exercising super fun. Like people have a hilarious time at Swish House. So does that make sense? That's kind of what the business is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it does. And, I have a couple questions in
so
there.
Do I. But go ahead.
Obviously
It's fine.
Hit me.
Well,
Go, Doug.
okay. Your financial planning background, in your basketball background, how basketball, basketball.
Yeah.
But to actually convert that into a business and then convert the fitness part, that's like, it's more than just knowing how to play basketball. So talk about that process.
The business piece of it.
The learning process you had to go to get this up and running.
Yeah,
I think my questions are more fun, but we'll start with that.
No,
one.
I love both. So
I'm here to get the truth.
So no, I love the question. I've been asked it before too. So I'm very self-deprecating with respect to my talents in financial services. When I say talents, I mean brain talents. It's more, I was a speech communication major here, as you know.
Me too.
As you well know. I was advised to either get into sales or go into politics. My father was a 6-term Republican judge, before that a prosecutor. Was brilliant guy, and they had people had said and my sister worked on Capitol Hill for a couple of senators, Jack Kemp, John Boehner. She worked in she was an assistant to the sergeant at arms on Capitol Hill in DC. So I was kind of into that. We had an aunt and uncle that lived in DC. So I was like, maybe I'll get into politics, Or people were like, Jonathan, you can really talk to people. You should get into sales.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Sales. So I was like, all right, I actually just like playing basketball. I'm going to try to play pro basketball. And I was good enough I had a couple of opportunities to play professionally in Italy, but not in the big boy leagues where you're making serious money and, whatever. So I was, whatever. That's a whole other ball of wax, but I got into financial services through my brother. I did not major in finance. My brother was a financial advisor with Morgan Stanley. He, just kind of got me into internal sales job with a firm called Ibbotson Associates in Chicago. And then I hustled really hard there for 05, 06, and then got the opportunity to start an entirely new division of a firm in Chicago called Mesero Financial. And I quite literally was the first employee of this new division, which was a group of executives that had spun out of the company I was working for, which was acquired. And I got a crazy, wild, forced into entrepreneurship. I was just having to build an institutional investment advisory business from scratch, basically. And I was 25, 26 at the time, and basically was given half the United States to cold call and build a business from. And our team from 06 through 2014 built it from 0 clients, 0 assets, no brand. And the time I left, we were at 30 billion and had 15 major institutions that hired us around the country. And we're a real brand in the 401k, this the retirement planner, here at a college, 403B industry, right? The retirement plan investment services, mutual funds world. And I just got an entrepreneurial itch and got to build that from scratch and got to become the national sales manager and kind of, it was really, I was so proud of it, but I did not the stock market. Some people live and breathe that. I don't. I'm so blessed to work in that industry. I love it. I still do. I work for, incredible company called Fisher Investments and still am in that industry. But I took what I'd learned in kind of the entrepreneurial side of financial services and had this wacky idea with Dave, my best buddy from childhood, Holtzmuller, who I started Swish House with, to kind of take all I'd learned in the world of entrepreneurial financial services and attach it to something that I'm deeply in love with, basketball. And it was also, the Swish House thing was a solution for you. I'm very honest, as a traveling salesman in financial services, it's a lot of business travel, a lot of steak dinners, a lot of drinking, like unhealthy, unnecessary, just drinking at dinners. Like I'd put on a ton of weight at post college, and I needed to get back in shape, and I hated all the other stuff I was doing. Like I always joke, like my wife ran a couple of marathons. Like I ran like a couple of half marathons. Like, so I ran one full. I hated that. I did triathlons. I hated that worse. I just like everything. And I didn't like playing basketball anymore because I wasn't as good as I used to be. I was pretty good back in the day. And like, I was out of shape and not very good. And like, I was like, what would I show up with bells on to do? And that's kind of how we came up with the idea for Swish. I was like, I'll actually go to this. Like, I'd do this 7 days a week. And so it was kind of a solution for me too. That was kind of like the perfect marriage. Like, I think I got a cool idea. I think this could really scale. And you could scale it fast as a business if we just perfect it for a few years. And it's basically just like a franchise model of like, you start in one city, start in two, you build a brand, you get people to know what you're doing, and then you spread it like wildfire everywhere, which is kind of what I did at Mezzaro in the financial services world. So I got to kind of take that and apply it into what I love the most, which is hoops, other than my family. It's basketball. Like, so, and that's just what's been so fun about it, is it's just been like a really interesting, it has not been always fun. It's been a real grind. It's a serious company now with real employees and, big boy plans and a major board, like it's, but it's super fun because it's hoops, So I kind of still have my fix of both. Like I don't want to leave. Like people always ask, like, why are you doing two jobs? It's like, well, one, I'm like 44. I'm not wealthy. I need money, like it's income, it's your highest earning years. But like, I actually thoroughly enjoy both because I have balance now. There was a few years I was very out of balance mentally and like physically, just because of how stressful this has been, kind of running two startups, because the division I'm building at Fisher is kind of a startup too. So, but I'm loving it. So I don't know if that answers the question. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
was an interesting answer to a uninteresting question. I'm just kidding. Just kidding, Doug. Okay. So logistically, I want to go back to the concept of Swish House and how it works. So I'm trying to picture this. So you have gyms that pick up different times, if they're not busy. You have people that are training in your model.
Yeah.
So there's coaches.
Yes.
Are they people with full-time jobs that jump in to do this? How does all of that work?
So think of it like this. I'll give you the perfect example of like New York City. So we found our business partner, is a guy named Paul. In every market, you need to have, we basically find one or two people that will lead a franchise. So there's two gentlemen that are going to lead the
So
Atlanta
they're owning
franchise.
it.
They
it's
own
their,
it.
their
like
business.
Paul Vitelli owns Swish House in New York City, and it's thriving. He makes a nice living off of that. He is also a major shareholder in the mothership of the company, and it runs kind of the HQ with me and Kristen, our other partner that runs the company now. So think of it as in every market, there's, call it a franchisee or somebody who in that world, they're not technically franchisees right now, but that's the long-term plan. Everything will be. But think of it as there's usually one or two people that are QBing the business full-time hyper locally in Chicago and New York that are the business owners, the owner operators. And we often are desperately trying to find like the ideal candidate is just a hoops-centric, diehard basketball lover, somebody where basketball is in his or her blood. They ideally have some serious academic rigor and have done something professionally that's relevant, So entrepreneurial, have built a business, that they really want to be in, call it a adult health and wellness, or built around basketball. You have to be a community builder. So it's got to be a really dynamic, hyper local leader, call it the owner operator. That's the face guy or gal of the business. And then the really cool part is we then staff it with a ton of part-time contractors, like just, they're not employees. I always joke, I try to find like the 26, 27-year-old version of myself. Yeah. Like we just hired this guy who, in Chicago, who played at Colgate. He's a stud, has a big job in Chicago. And like, he just got engaged, and he's like, he probably will make another like $5-10 grand a year, just like getting paid
Doing
50, 65 an hour. And he, walks down the street. He lives in the neighborhood in Chicago where we operate. So if you there's always like one or two people that own the business, then you staff it with, we exclusively hire from the pool. You have to have like a deep big boy or big girl basketball resume. You have to have played post high school. We don't care if you played at Michigan, at Hillsdale, or at Albion, D1, D2, D3 or whatever. If you just, you have to have like a real pedigree. You have to be vocal. Like we have tryouts. You're kind of a star. So there are these, we call them basketball fitness coaches. So we've built a whole online curriculum.
That's my next question.
We had Kristen Heidloff, who I run the company with. She's in the Illinois High School Basketball Hall of Fame. She was a 4-year starting point guard at Georgetown. She has a Northwestern master's. She's brilliant. Like, she runs the company, so essentially think of it as, why did I bring Kristen up? What was I?
Basketball fitness coach.
Oh, so she built the curriculum. We have this entire 7-pillared part to we call it our signature 60-minute basketball fitness class, designed for anybody who loves the game. You can literally fog a mirror and like basketball. You can do the workout. If you stink, or if you're LeBron, we do not care. You get the same workout, and we make you feel like Diana Taurasi or LeBron. Our coaches are taught the social emotional skills of everybody is going to 100 out of 100 classes, have a great time, and be treated like a star, whether they make 80% of their 3-pointers or 20.
So everyone's a winner.
Everybody's a winner. Exactly.
I don't know how I feel about that.
It's co-ed in classes. We have female coaches, we have male coaches. We have a girl that played at Penn in the Ivy League. We have a bunch of ex-Dartmouth players. We hire these studs that show up with bells on, and they make a little, and living in New York and Chicago in your 20s and 30s, you need money. Everybody does. It's extra, fun money, Yeah. So that's what's really cool is there's this incredible leaders, and we have a whole, so Kristen built it alongside this guy, Trevor Huffman, who is one of our other co-founders who played 14 years professionally. And then we brought in the biggest get we brought in was the Detroit Pistons, who then became the Charlotte Hornets head sports performance director. So we got an NBA sports performance head of sports performance at major NBA teams to kind of sign off and help build the workout class. So think of it as it's not just the physical, incredibly killer workout they provide. The best part to me is it's fun. There's a mental health benefit. It's one of the only workout classes you go to and you're like, holy cow, that was actually a good time. And you know what? We hear people all the time I suck at basketball, but that was so much fun. And
That's cool.
you guys, and we get told lots that we are, and I don't know how you guys feel. I don't know what it's like around here, and I don't live in Hillsdale anymore, but it's just, fitness has become so sexy, exclusive, and it's everybody's, all this overly I don't know, exclusive, and people, it's intimidating for some people if you don't grow up.
I try to avoid
working
that
out
world.
and that kind of thing. People just and we often get told that even though basketball is a very exclusive sport, you have to be a very good athlete to be good at basketball. You have to run, jump, catch, shoot, pass, dribble, play defense. You have to do a lot of stuff. And we make it accessible to just any regular Joe or Josie who's a casual fan. And there are not a lot of solutions for those people. There's a zillion of those people. There are very few Jonathons that played 4 years of college. It's a crazy stat of people who played college for 4 years. It's less than 1% of high school athletes or something. So the point is we hire these great talented people, and then so think people, that's the most important piece. The second piece is then we go out and Bird Dog. The company we have 50 investors. 40 of the 50 investors are former pro college players. Our network, I always joke, other than maybe the people who run the NBA and the WNBA, I don't think there's a bigger, badder network than our Swish House network of and it's people who played at places like Yale, Princeton, Harvard, Notre Dame, Butler, North Carolina, Duke, on our investor team. And Northwest, we have a ton of ex-Northwestern folks. So it's just this killer network though. When we open Seattle, we make 3 or 4 calls. You're from Seattle, right? I can just tell you offhand, I know 2 or 3 people I can call immediately. I know the entire Seattle landscape. And it's just it's my partner's sister-in-law, works for the Seattle Storm and runs this incredible 3x3 business. I could call her and she puts us in touch with the whole Seattle basketball community. We have this killer network and we find all these great unused basketball courts. Could be at on a college campus, an arena that's underutilized. It could be a rec center gymnasium inside a college campus. It could be some quaint little Christian school or, charter schools. There's these beautiful new schools that get built all the time that have these luxury basketball courts that sit dormant 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. when people after work would want to go exercise on them. So that was our idea, to go find unused courts, call it 6, 8, 10 hours of court time a week, year round, strike leases with these places. So that's think of it, that's where we run our business. Lock those up. We try to, let's say if we're opening Atlanta, we'll go get 3 or 4 facilities that become Swish House partners. They go into the app, and with our membership, you can bop around to a bunch of different neighborhoods in Atlanta, hop on a court for an hour. You go catch a workout for an hour and you leave. And
so someone is franchising the local area, not necessarily the gym.
Not the physical gym. Okay. Correct. Yeah, think of it as a territory.
Got it.
In Atlanta, the 404. you know, and in Detroit it'd be 313-248. You know, somebody would own those markets. In Chicago, 312-847's the North Shore, et cetera.
Okay.
So that'd be pretty unique in your in your segment, because a lot of the gyms, you need kind of a permanent fitness place. This is definitely a little different model. For
Less
sure.
overhead on that front.
That's the beauty of it. People think it's the hardest part. No question. I don't even call it the hardest part. It's just that's the company. If I want to open Atlanta in like Buckhead and I wanted to build a basketball facility, I would need to raise probably $5 to $10 million just to build it, let alone like run it, hire people. It's in
Texas.
There's like NBA players, there's people, there's billionaires that open up these luxury pimped out basketball facilities all over the country. And then they go bankrupt in like 5-10 years.
Yeah.
And like I should have mentioned this. My boy that I started Swish House with, Dave Holtzman, was like a Manhattan real estate attorney at like Skadden Arps Manhattan, which I didn't know this, but it's like playing for the Lakers or like the Yankees in law, especially in real estate law. And like that's the beauty, the I think the smartest people that get behind us that invest in us is because we don't have the overhead. And what I also love to tout about it is there are two very normal human beings that I think are going to kill it that are opening up Atlanta, right? These two guys, Vinny and Jason, for us, it's people who they are such diehard hoopers. They love basketball. It's all they want to do with their careers. They have other careers, but they're like, we're going to open Atlanta, blow this up, and this is what we want to do, grow this. So it's like you're finding people that really want to do the business and are super passionate about it. And then, you know, we just work to kind of find, you know, the right places to operate it out of. And it becomes like, that's like the only big puzzle piece you have to figure out. Then from there, it's just community building. You have to, you know, get 400 or 500 people to come try a Swish House. You know, we usually can build a nice community of 200-300 members, and you have a nice business there to kind of build off. And so it's a great career for somebody. So it's like, think it's like, that's kind of how it works. Is like, you find the great leaders, they find then the part-time staff, tap into like all these unused facilities. We help with that, open up a bunch of doors. Once we lock those up, you then kind of launch the business and kind of build the community. And again, we're in 2 cities now. We'll be in 4 or 5 by the end of this year, early next year. And then I think like
which
10,
ones do you?
Atlanta is next, Columbus, Ohio. And then if I were betting, my hunch would be we'll do Indianapolis. We have a pretty interesting deal cooking in Indianapolis. And then our biggest connections, like something like we should talk about, is like Detroit is our biggest connection. Like we've mapped out the whole country. Like we have some serious juice in Philadelphia through like 3 or 4 of our bigger investors. We have a ton of juice, obviously, in New York connections, Boston connections, but Detroit's number one because there's you know, I'm obviously the founder. Then we've got Dan McGrath's an investor.
Is he?
You remember Dan McGrath who played here?
I took him to a Pi-Fi formal.
You did?
Yeah. He doesn't
He's
dance,
6'8".
everyone. I'm putting it out there.
Danny's not. He's gonna be crushed that you called him a bad dancer.
Oh, I could imitate it if I was not sitting in a chair.
He's one of the greatest men in the history. He's one of my favorite people.
He's
Danny's
wonderful.
like the greatest guy of all time. So he now I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
We brought Dan McGrath.
Detroit.
About
You're talking about
Detroit's Ryan Veronicich, who's interestingly,
He's in education, right?
He's
education.
He's superintendent at Melvindale. Yeah, he's brilliant guy. One of my best friends. They're investors. Johnny Hamoud's an investor. I don't know if you remember Johnny. He was a freshman when I was a senior. He's from Dearborn, great guy. And then like 5 or 6 other investors are from Detroit. So I think Detroit, and then Minneapolis and San Diego are like the other 2 big cities that we're looking at. We have like investors that want to do it, that we're interviewing and like really getting to know. But like we've all agreed to go to like, I'd say 8 to 10 cities by the end of 2027, and then 50 to 75 cities by the year 2033. That's like the company's goal.
Okay.
And so it just becomes a matter of like finding the right fit, lovely people that want to put the money and the time in their lives into owning Houston. And once you find them, you find the facilities, and then you build it. Think of it as like in every we're very confident, and obviously you have to be crazy to be an entrepreneur. Like like there's no question there's a market for what we're doing. It's just an extraordinarily fun. It's the only thing that matters as we all age is your health, and we've created a way for, I think, millions. Right now it's thousands, hundreds and hundreds, almost thousands, I think.
Yay.
Across Chicago and New York, we're almost at 1,000. But like the point is, there's billions of people who love hoops that will love this. There's just we already know. It's just we don't want to be crazy and try to grow too fast. But that's the business. And the beautiful thing is, to go back to it, is like there's precedent for what we're doing as a company. Yeah. That's why, we've been smart enough. Like Dave was a high-end real estate lawyer. I was a pretty good, mutual fund and 401k investment sales guy. Like I didn't know anything about building a basketball-centric fitness franchise that operates out of unused. Like it was just a wacky idea that actually it's working, it's profitable, it's making money in the 2 biggest cities in the country, and it should technically work everywhere. It just is a matter of, like anything, you have to hire really, really well, train and develop people really, really well, and execute on a scalable franchise-based business plan. So other companies have done it, we think, we always say, like, other companies have done much bigger things without the built-in advantage of basketball. Like we already know people dig hoops. We've created a new way for people to enjoy it that's very accessible, I think, if that makes sense.
I have another.
Go ahead. You have a question.
Well, okay.
Doug, you look like you had a great one coming.
I did.
It's my turn.
But I'll defer.
Okay. That's good. So you mentioned fun a lot, gamify, the curriculum. Can you walk us through a typical or, most popular class, maybe, and what people do?
We call it the Signature 60. It's called the Signature 60 basketball fitness class. So in a traditional, so let's just say, what day is it today? Wednesday, Thursday?
I think it's Thursday.
So the Thursday night. Today in Chicago, so there's, 3 or 4 things going on in Brooklyn, New York tonight. I think one on the Upper East Side of New York tonight. And then, maybe one in the suburbs tonight, one in the two classes in the city in Chicago tonight, I think, if my schedule off the top of my head's right. So depending upon the size of the court, we try to use like high school size basketball courts. 16 is the perfect class. 16 to 20 is the perfect class size, one certified coach. And again, all of our coaches are ex-pro college players. So they're trained on this, like there's like a whole comprehensive online course they have to go through. They have to do in-person training with us on this like signature 60-minute class, which is basically the first 5 or 6 minutes. Everybody on the court has a basketball in their hands, and it's an organized full court. We call it a full court, full body warm up. You're just typically running and dribbling and shooting a series of layups, jump shots, and 3-pointers if you want to. If you're a novice and you just want to run and like just get you're like getting your heart rate up. And we always say everybody go about 50%. We have a really cool aspect that I like to tout is we have like all of our playlists. Our classes are built by like really high end, like New York and Chicago DJs most of the time. So like everything's orchestrated. There's killer music, a great sound system that we have in every facility that we operate out of. So it's like this whole, you kind of feel like you're at like an arena, even though you're in like some little gym in New York or Chicago. You're not in an arena, obviously, typically, but so 5 or 6 minute full court, full body shooting and dribbling warm up. That also, we don't publicize this. It also gives the coach the opportunity to assess the talent. If you are any semblance of like an expert basketball player, I always joke, you can watch 10, 15 kids run around on a basketball court. You watch 15, 20 men and women running around, adults on a basketball court, and be like, oh, Dan is dunking. Dan McGrath, he's the class. Dan's dunking every time. 4 or 5 people are like awesome. 4 or 5 people are like, they're pretty decent. Looks like they maybe played. And then there's like, oh, Steve and Katie haven't hit the rim yet, but they look like they're smiling and carrying on and having a good time. So whatever. So because and I'll come back to that, but it allows us to assess the talent. It's like a tryout. You can look at them for 5 to 7 minutes, be like, all right, I got the assessment of the talent. And then there's 8 minutes, which we probably market more than anything, of ankle, knee, hip, and shoulder mobility and injury prevention, which we have 65, 70-year-olds that come to class in Chicago, New York, and we have like 22-year-old.
Yeah. This is one question I had.
Yeah, that was one of mine too.
Yeah.
There we
have
go.
The hottest, youngest people and like, old, out of shape people. Yeah. It's all a little bit of everything, that's what's kind of cool about it. So there's a lot of ankle, knee, hip, shoulder mobility basketball. A lot of people I've learned stop playing because of the risk of injury.
Well, and I've heard a lot of people get injured in basketball.
It's the key to that is a mega, like a brand pillar of Swish House. Like our entire thesis is you get a better fitness output like than you do in a 1-hour pickup game or like a men's league game in Toledo where you're from, or Dayton where I'm from, or whatever. Like anywhere, like that's like that's kind of the beauty of it. It's a crazy killer workout with no risk of injury. If anything, like we're helping you build your body. So we do, and that we always tout the NBA sports performance doctor that built this with us. So there's a whole like 8 minutes of injury prevention, stretching, ankle, knee, hip, shoulders, most commonly injured body parts and hoops. And then we always spend like, after that, there's like 5 or 6 minutes of like a skill breakdown. It can just be like, I often, if I'm running class, I still run like one a week in Chicago. Like I'll have everybody do like 4 or 5 minutes of like crazy, weird dribbling drills, which like you can stink at basketball and still like bang it, like get in a stance.
Or
and it's
not.
like, it rips your legs, like your legs are burning, your feet are moving, like you're sweating profusely. Or you might do like, you know, a 3-point drill or something, whatever you want to do, like break down one skill where like, because there's a lot of 30 somethings that are like, still want to get better at basketball. And like, there's some woman, you know, Erin tonight, she was a captain at Penn in the Ivy League, you know, like she's running the class, like, and she looks the part. She's 6'1", like she was amazing, you know, like these are amazing athletes teaching these mostly regular Joes and Josies. Like I was a expert 3-point shooter. Like I do a lot of like 3-point things in my classes, you know, that was my thing. So whatever. So like, that's what's kind of fun is the coaches put their own little spin on it too. So there's, you know, that 5 or 6 minute warm up, injury prevention, a skill development. And then the best parts of class are right in the middle and right at the end. They're called game ball and buzzer beaters. They're team based and sometimes individual shooting contests where like, it'll literally be team Doug versus team Colleen. And we remember going back to the 6 minute warm up. That's like the tryout. We always like, we'll say like, we'll put like the 2 best shooters, you know, like you guys go down there, you're the captains, 2 or 3 good 3 or 4 good players each, 3 or 4 bad players each on each team, you know, and like, it's then like a best of 7, like an NBA playoff series where like all sorts of different shots where you're running and shooting. And like in each class members run 2.5 to 3 miles in every workout. And it's obviously we feel exponentially more fun than like doing that on a treadmill or like going for a run in Chicago in February is not a good time either. So, or
Safety.
in the summer.
And
so
cold.
Like, so that, all that. So it's like it's like, right. So it's like and then in between those games, there's 4 to 8 stations that are like really grueling. There's a strength station, a cardio station, a shooting station.
Strength was a part of it.
Yeah. There's a whole, remember, it's like an NBA sports performance doctor built it. So we always tout as like, you're literally doing some of the things that like LeBron's doing in the off season, you know, like, and like you're getting to train like your favorite WNBA, NBA player, college player, whatever. So
it does sound very fun.
So
you're
it's
a good salesperson.
That's it. So there's like, we had to build, and we've surrounded ourselves. Like I love telling people this, like we've had great advisors over the years, like the woman who founded Pure Barre. Have you heard of Pure Barre? You know, the ballet centric, you know, she's been an advisor to us on this. Like we had to build like a really scientific curriculum that had credibility. So we always say like it's the perfect blend of credibility. Like there's like mega like former pro college players, NBA sports performance science behind it, but it's built for like regular Joes and Josies, like that. No matter your age, skill, or fitness level, you're going to have a great time and like get a killer workout. And then what we've built in the last couple of years, which I think is really cool, is like if you're still like a competitive hooper in your 20s, 30s, even 40s, 50s, and want to play competitively, we have pickup games for you, 3-on-3 and 5-on-5 pickup games where you can hop on a court and like have a high quality, consistent, like, you know, you can go battle somebody if you like that. But some of our members don't even care to do that. I don't do it I don't play competitively. I ripped my ankle last year, and I'm like, I don't have anything else to prove at 44. What am I doing? Like, you know, chasing around like some 29-year-old like who played it like Northwestern. Like, what am I doing with my life on a Thursday? And I'm gonna like blow my Achilles or something.
Yeah, I made that call a long time ago, and I'm happy I did. Right. So I can actually walk now.
There you go.
This sounds very fun, and
it is. It's the thing I'm most proud. I mean, it's truly like again, if we have 1,000,000 miles to go. We're a small company, but it's getting big enough that it's like, I do believe we have like a real shot to scale it. And I think if we just stay humble and like focused, the beauty of it is companies say this, like, we're going to change the world. Like, I'm not like one of those kind of people, but like I can tell you this, like I was like almost 250 pounds when I started the company. I'm like 210, 15 pounds now. Like, and I've kept it, I've stayed healthy myself. And I feel like if I'm using it, all of our other founders, all of us who are like washed up 40 somethings, like all of us have used the product. And it's totally because like I have such a good time doing it. Like I roll into like the Sunday morning class, like I'm the founder and like people know that. And it's still like, I love going to it. It's super fun. And I think it'll help millions of people. Like their hearts get healthier. And they're like, you have fun doing it. You smile. Like people with mental health issues, like need to go like find a community.
Yeah.
Like I know when I moved, like probably one of the things I've learned, the biggest lesson I've learned in starting this is and I experienced this too. And like, I wasn't really in touch with this, but I had a massive bout with depression when my career ended here. I really did like horribly. I didn't know it at the time.
Right.
It was just moving to Chicago and partying really hard, like doing unhealthy things and not, kind of acting out a little like, but I just like lost my identity. I moved to Chicago. I grew up in a town of the size of Hillsdale, like 10,000 people, like moved to a city of like whatever, 3-5 million people, whatever it is, depending on what you're counting. And it was like, I didn't know anybody. I'd lost my friend, I didn't have, have the basketball community, and that's, people need that, that's what I think is so cool is it's going to help. It really is helping people. It's not, people that lose weight. Like I think it's too focused on like superficial things. To me, it's like, it's just if you feel better.
Right.
That's what life should be about. It's like you're feeling a little better. Like that's, to me, is if we can help people feel better. If you want to look better with your, like in a
That'll
bathing
come,
suit, cool, but like what?
Well, helping people live optimally, I
Yeah.
think will change the world.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Health is huge and there's a lot of components of it. So
No
it's
doubt.
complicated
Yeah, for sure.
and challenging.
For sure.
Well, it's awesome. Do you have
Thank
more
you. Yeah.
questions on this?
Well, I think we're going to wrap up this first segment here. So I think
All
at
right.
this time we'll take a break and be right back with the White and Blue podcast. Now it's time for the Hillsdale History Minute, where we bring a slice of Hillsdale College history to the White and Blue podcast. For today's minute, we take a look at the 1980-81 basketball team, considered one of the best in school history. The Chargers advanced further in the NAIA National Tournament than any other team that came before it, finishing fourth in the 1981 National Tournament. The team set a single-season school record with 28 wins and a season winning percentage of .800. The NAIA District 23 champions featured head coach Bill Morse, as well as 3 All-Americans and 4 players who eventually scored more than 1,400 career points.
You know the Robertson family from the hit TV show Duck Dynasty. Now Hillsdale College offers you the unique opportunity to learn alongside the Robertsons as they dive deep into Hillsdale's online course, The Genesis Story. Every Friday on the Unashamed podcast, the Robertsons will share their insights and perspectives, learning from Hillsdale Professor of English Justin Jackson. Take a trip down south to Louisiana for this one-of-a-kind learning experience we call Unashamed Academy. Visit unashamedforhillsdale.com and enroll today. That's unashamed, F-O-R, Hillsdale.com to experience the Genesis story alongside the Robertsons.
Welcome back to the White and Blue podcast, where we have 2003 graduate Jonathon Dues as today's guest. Jonathan, I don't know if you knew about that 1980-81 team. That was pretty legendary. I think we're going to honor them here at the tip-off dinner next month.
Oh, nice.
And I ran into a couple of those guys recently, and they're still in pretty good shape.
Dale Allen was on that team, right?
He was.
And then was Dr. Kaltoff also on that team?
He was. Well, I don't know if he was on the 80-81 team, but he was in that era.
Yeah. I love Dr. Kaltoff. I love that guy.
Yeah.
I know, but he always talks about that team. I remember. But yeah, no, some great players.
Well, Colleen, I know you wanted to pursue a little bit about the entrepreneurship, so feel free to ask away.
So it sounds like a entrepreneurship startupping
Big time,
has been a big part of or all of your career.
It has,
in a way. Tell us, what do you think are the most important qualities for being successful in entrepreneurship?
I would just say, like, go into something that if you can possibly find something that you are actually passionate about. Like for me in Swish House
and basketball.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And it was just, I got real, it was just an idea that I'd had, and I had been kind of forced into like this cool new job as an entrepreneurial role in my 20s in financial services, that I got to kind of be a part of a startup. I didn't actually own that company. We built it from 0 to 30 billion. I wish I did own that. I got paid well, but like it was more cash comp, less like ownership. And that's kind of what I've learned is like, I'd done some like real things in financial services, but didn't have ownership of it. And there wasn't like the big payday for me as you hear about in other people who start something and actually own it. And like, I kind of learned about equity and like what that meant really. And like, so when I started Swish House with the closest childhood friend, it was the two of us that put the original money in. It was real serious money to both of us in our like mid 30s at the time. And it was, Dave and I, who started it, quite literally grew up on the same street in a small town. We were high school star basketball and football teammates. Like I planned his bachelor party kind of guy, it was like that kind of a friend. And it was basketball, but it was also like we had hung out a lot in our 20s and 30s because I was always in New York because I, work on Wall Street, and was in Boston a lot, which is, a ton of financial services work there. So he and I always hung out socially when I'd be in town. We'd get beers, do dinner and stuff. And like, we came up with the idea, and it just was around something that we loved. So I'd say that to me is like, if there's something that you're genuinely passionate about, that to me makes it so much more easier to be like psycho crazy in love and like have the like ability to like defend it and like, care for it like a baby. It's like, people say it's like a baby. Like it's not, I don't like saying, but it's the closest thing. Like I've never cared about anything more other than like my wife and children.
Yeah.
Other than my wife and children. That's what I mean. Like I couldn't care about anything more. I love Fisher Investments. I don't care about it nearly as much as I do Swish House. It's like, as I built that, like the founders of Fisher built Fisher Investments and I get to work there. I'm blessed beyond measure, but like, it was a different thing. So like that to me is like, find something that you're actually are really passionate about or really know. I think sometimes people are just like, I want to be an entrepreneur. And it's like, it is not always glamorous. It's more often than not glamorous. It's really like, and it's whether you're owning a restaurant or you're owning a manufacturing business or a law firm, any of it. It's just, it's yours, you own it. But like, so to me, it's like finding something that you truly are passionate about and or actually are an expert. And I am both at basketball. And I'm not an expert in the way that like, Kevin Bradley is here at basketball, like then John Tharp, like the real coaches. Like I was a good player. I don't think I would have ever been like an awesome coach, I just don't have that kind of a mind, but like that. So those two things I think matter more than anything, like the true, genuine love, passion, and like real knowledge. You know what I mean? I always felt I had a ceiling in financial services because I don't have the diehard passion for the markets and that I know other people do that have studied it and really are like passionate about the capital markets. I know it to a sharp degree, but like, so I don't know. I think that matters to me more than I think that. And then you have to have the ability to, I always say like in entrepreneurship, like athletes are very well made for it. Doug, we talked about it over breakfast.
I was just going to say, we have a lot of athletes, former athletes here that I've run across that are incredible entrepreneurs. And I think that athletic background feeds into that.
It feeds into it beyond belief. As we talked about over breakfast, you have to have thick skin to be an athlete, and definitely to play for the people that I played for here. They were tough coaches that were like, we won a lot of games, but Ed Dalma was like, he was a highly critical guy. And like, I played for him as a point guard, shooting guard for 4 years. And like, I played high school football. Like I've been coached by really harsh, tough critics, and entrepreneurship's way harder than even anything I've ever went through. Is like, it's humiliating. You get humbled every day, and it's your face, like things have gone sideways a few times with Swish House, and I've had a really, really, really big breakdowns over it because of like how scary it is. Cause now you have investors, some of it's, everybody's seen Shark Tank. Now everybody's an armchair angel investor. I always joke. And everybody thinks, we just, we did a family and friends fundraising round. Are you guys familiar with what those things are? Like these, you go raise money from your rich family and friends. Like that's what it is. Everybody thinks that's really cool until things go bad. And then you're like, hey, my sister has stock in Swish House. And so does my sister-in-law. Yeah. And like 4 of my buddies from college. And like
a lot of pressure. And
oh, by the way, the billionaire that I like met last week is like looking at investing or something like, and then you just have this weird pressure. It's just so there's like the harsh, there's the critics and you get 100 times more no's. So like being an athlete, like
you've got a lot of failure, right? You have to deal with.
You have to lose.
Yeah. You have to lose.
In order to win.
I mean, I was a baseball player. I hit 300 and I was a success. Yeah. That means I failed 70% of the time.
I was one of the best 3-point shooters in America my sophomore year. and I think number 2 in the country. I shot
Really?
48%. That's less than half. Like at 48, my point is like, you always say like, if you make half your shots at the NBA, you're going to the Hall of Fame. Like 50%. Like you're missing the most of, there's a great Michael Jordan quote. Like, you miss the bulk of the shots
Half
you
the
don't take.
yeah,
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah.
I almost butchered the Michael Jordan quote. That would have been really embarrassing.
Especially in Chicago.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I think I had that poster in my house, my bedroom growing up or something. But
Were the Bulls your team?
they were
Favorite
actually,
team?
yeah, which is wild because I grew up in Ohio, but there's not an NBA
There
team
isn't,
close.
yeah. Well,
I
Cleveland.
went to Pacers games actually growing up, but here and there because that was the closest. It was like an hour and a half from where I grew up, Indianapolis.
Indiana,
but,
yeah.
But yeah, I grew up diehard Michael Jordan, so it's funny that I ended up in Chicago on literally like Swish House's like primary facilities are like in the same neighborhood as the United Center, essentially. So right down the street.
All right.
Well, I was just going to say, you came from Ohio.
Yeah.
You get a scholarship at Hillsdale and you play basketball here and obviously had a great career both on and off the court. Talk to me about your path to Hillsdale and your experience here.
Sure. Oh gosh, serendipity. I'm so grateful that I ended up here. My God, I just have the greatest experience here, start to finish. And I try to get back once a year, usually for the alumni hoops weekend, kind of like the basketball homecoming. But yeah, no, I was a little bit of a late bloomer in high school. We had I played at more of a football high school, and we had 2 of my high school football teammates. I was a football player in high school as well, and like 2 of my high school teammates, Travis Swain and Josh Welch. Travis was 2 years older. He was 97. Josh was 98. I was 99. They had both gotten full rides to play football here. And I was like, so I'd heard of it. And Josh, I mean, they're both really smart guys. Josh was brilliant. I knew it was like a high academic school. I was being recruited by mostly almost all Division I schools. Colgate, Davidson, Western Michigan. Gosh, what else? Eastern Illinois, I remember was like, pretty interested right around when Hillsdale got involved. And I was just kind of like, I was a late bloomer and I was kind of number 2 on everybody's list. Like, hey, we already offered this kid. If he doesn't take it, you're our guy to come to Davidson or Western Michigan, wherever. And then I out of nowhere got called by Hillsdale. And I perked up because Travis and Josh were here. I knew nothing about the basketball program, but I knew Coach Dauma. And then the head assistant was a guy named Bill Saul, who's, to this day, I'm still really close with, love that guy. And essentially out of nowhere, like I get contacted by them. They had one kid had transferred and they had a full scholarship free up, like a full ride free up. And like, it was like only 3 hours from home. A couple of the schools that were recruiting me were 10 hours away, 12 hours away. Like, I was like, gosh, my parents are like going to never see me play. So like, I just was like, I don't know, it's Division II. And I could be like a national spokesperson for kids going D2 or even D3 if it's a better fit academically, culturally, playing time wise. Like D1's not what it's cracked up to be. Like it really isn't. So like I came up here and I'll never forget. I actually talked to Aaron Veldier this morning about it. Like, cause we were laughing about it, but he hosted me and my parents were so impressed with Aaron. I was too, but he was a point guard. I was a point guard too. I kind of was like looking him up and down. Like, I guess we're going to be teammates, but like,
you could take him.
We're gonna, I could take. Like, you're so competitive back then. Like, I was like, yeah, he seems cool. But like, really smart. He was so confident, and he's like, we're rebuilding the program. We got these great recruits coming in, and he really sold me. He's like one of the most successful guys I know, by the way, too. Like he's a great salesman. And my parents, it was the coaching staff. Coach Dauma had won a national championship at Calvin University. Coach Saul had played for him at Calvin, and like they were great. They had signed some other great players, and like I just came up here. I played. I had a great like kind of tryout. I played with the team, and I had this just like kind of gut feeling. My mother loved it. I remember my mom was just like so over the moon, and and like the conservatives, piece of our school like mattered. You know what I mean? My dad, as you know, is a Republican judge, as I mentioned. And like the school just really spoke to us, and I had like. And I just would never forget, like face to face, like Coach Dauma and Saul were like, yeah, we'd like to offer you a full ride. You don't have to decide right now, but you need to go home and think about this. We want you here. And like, that just like spoke to me. And I was so geeked. I was like, man, these people really want me. I'm like kind of second on everybody else's list. And like, I just had a gut. And like, I just, because we're such good friends still, me and Aaron Veldier, but like, I just had this vivid, I met other people on the visit. There were, other people involved. I did, but then, it just was like kind of a week later. I remember just waking up and committing here and like had like a whole like national, like a letter of intent signing day or whatever. It was like a big deal. And then I knew I had seen, I can't remember if he saw it or I saw it, but Sam Belk, who was like my best friend from Hillsdale to this day, played football here, was our age. He's captain of the football team. He had signed to play football here. And like, he was from the Dayton area. And I remember like, he had seen it, or I saw him, like there was like in the Dayton Daily News, there was like something like, I think it was him signing with Hillsdale to play football. I was like, oh my God. Because I knew him because we played them in football usually. He's from the Dayton area. Like our high schools played each other. So like I kind of, and it just was such a gut feeling. I remember like.
A lot of things came together. It just
came together. Yeah. It was just like the perfect timing.
Yep.
Small school. Like it might not be for everybody, but I'm from a small high school, small town, kind of a small Dayton suburb, It just was a great fit. And I was so lucky, like that I was able to come in, and obviously I worked my butt off. Like I really did. I deserved it, but like I got to start every game as a freshman, and was, we went to 2 NCAA tournaments, won the GLIAC for the first time like ever, I think, in regular season, first team to ever go to back-to-back NCAA tournaments, we just, and I had a really good individual career. Like I got so lucky, and we had such great teammates and like the caliber of men I got to play with here. I always joke, like people think I'm successful and they're like, "God, Dues, you're really doing well." It's like, have you met Aaron Veldier? Have you met Ryan Brownissage? Have you met Ben Bixman? He's a brain surgeon. Have you met like all of my close, like so many of these people that I played with are just brilliant people, like lovely, great people, So I couldn't, I know I'm like, I could go on and on like for 3 hours about how much I love it.
I was just
I had such a good experience. Not everybody had that experience. I got to play, I got to start, I got to be, and had but more important, it just was like a great academic and college experience. Like the professors really cared. Like we just ran into Coach Bill Lumberg at the finish line at breakfast. Like he actually might be the nicest man in the history of the world.
No doubt.
He really is the sweetest, greatest man.
No doubt.
And was like an elite athlete.
Well, and he wasn't even your coach, right?
No, he wasn't. And he like
still,
knew like the whole roster from the 2002 team or whatever. Like, how's Matt doing? How's Brooks doing? How's Tommy Farmer doing? How's all these people doing? Like it's really a special place in that regard. And the professors too. It's like you come back, you see Dr. Connor, he's always there. A lot of people are still around. It's just it's not everybody has that kind of experience. Like I feel like,
No,
they don't.
I've spent some time working at another university, and the student athletes there, got it done in the classroom. But I would say in my experience, both as a student and an athlete here, and then hearing the experiences of other former student athletes, the academic side, I think, there is no give here. Like, there's a lot of like people that get kind of waved on through it, maybe at some other institutions academically.
Shit,
I find that, pretty much across the board where the athletes here had to cut it or they weren't going to be here. Matter of fact, I had some classmates that didn't make it.
No, me too.
Because of that.
Really good, smart guys. It just was not a fit here. It's a really hard. I used to talk to my dad. My dad was such a like hardcore, like be an athlete, a scholar first, an athlete second. You're a scholar athlete. You're not an athlete scholar. Like my mother, they were always just so hardcore about that. And like I remember just like being like, because you have this like as an athlete, like as a cocky athlete in high school, you're just like you think like, oh, maybe I'll get treated differently by some of the professors here. Because I put up 18 last night against Northern Michigan or something. And I remember just being like, well, hey, I got to go on like a road trip to play like Michigan Tech, Northern Michigan, Lake State, which is like a 10-hour drive to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. They're like, no, you still had to go do that and come back after playing at Lake State the next morning and like take your biology. Like how hard was like biology and like physics and stuff here as a freshman?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Or like you know what I mean? Like that stuff. Like I couldn't, or like how hard were the classes? Oh, so see, I didn't know that. How hard were those intro classes here? Like you couldn't, it was just so hard academically, and it was humbling because I just was like, oh my God, this is like, I thought high school was its breeze, but I got here and was like, and I was a really good student, don't get me wrong, but like, God, it was really hard here. And I remember just respecting that and telling my dad like, yeah, they don't care that like, I thought like maybe they'd let me take the test like a day later or something. And he's like,
or let somebody else take it for you.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
At some school.
Definitely not that going on here. I wish that was going on here, but it definitely was. At least I didn't. No one offered me that. But that's the thing. It was just so humbling here. Like I always joke, like God, like even if you just go on LinkedIn, it's very humbling to be like, there's like 20 people I know that I went to college with are like running major companies. It's like, what am I doing with my life? I gotta hustle harder. I say that
I
jokingly.
can sometimes feel that too, because
it's such an incredible, I mean, there's so many talented,
we're here,
smart people,
promoting all of that. So we're, in the middle of it all the time. And
it's amazing. It's amazing how much, there's so many, it's just
a lot to be proud of.
It was a very, I just thought, hey, when you go to school here, you're surrounded, like, not only is everybody on the basketball team, everybody was like their high school's all-time leading scorer or like first team all-state or something.
Mm-hmm.
And they had like a 3.9 and were, got like a 28 ACT. Mm-hmm. Like everybody's so sharp here and academically and athletic. It's just, that's what I think is so special about it. It's the high academic and like really serious athletics here that not a lot of schools can tout like that. That to me is the coolest part of it, at least from my personal experience, because I was an athlete,
Well, and you've mentioned a few times in this conversation, your work ethic seems to kind of come out in a lot of different conversation. You mentioned outworking other people, working harder, hustle. Where does that come from?
I mean, I would think like most things, upbringing. I was the youngest of 3 kids. I have a brother that's
I'm the youngest,
8
too,
years older.
I don't have that hustle.
Gotcha. See, I mean, everything, family dynamics are different. I was, but my siblings would say I was babied and all, like they, who knows? Yeah. There's all perspective, right? But no, I would say, my parents were just like, I quite literally had the loveliest childhood and, parents that, were there and like cared and never missed anything and were so supportive, but it was also like my siblings were really expectations. My parents were both, my dad was an elected official. My mom was an entrepreneur, had her own interior design business, which I always like looked up to so much. She started that when I was like middle school, high school, and like ran her own little company and like consulted on businesses and families who, wanted to redesign their homes. I just thought, so like there was entrepreneurial thing that I noticed through my mom, and then my dad, in addition to being an elected judge, he had launched this incredible nonprofit in our hometown, like a youth foundation that had raised millions and millions of dollars to have like a YMCA youth center built, a community college built, a whole hospital,
wow,
in and out. What's the word I'm looking for? Immediate care clinic.
Oh, urgent care.
Urgent care clinics. Yeah. So so my dad was like just, like a hustler. He, in addition to, and he like coached me in everything. I don't know how the dude did it. How did anybody do that stuff? But like,
that's
so
neat.
it was that. And then my siblings were both overachievers, good, really great students, good athletes too. And just being the youngest, my sister was 4 years older. My brother was 8. That number one, I would say family upbringing. And then like, you've heard me mention Dave, the co-founder of Swish House. Like I grew up in this little town, very similar. I think why I loved Hillsdale is like, I grew up in a town identical to Hillsdale. Eaton, Ohio is like the same exact town, basically. And so I happened to grow up in that little town, like a guy a year older than me, one of my best friends, his name's Tommy Jones. He was, like literally recruited by everybody. He was a Big Ten quarterback. He played quarterback at Indiana. We had another one of my closest friends was like our conference player of the year, a year older than me. And then Dave was a year younger than me, the guy I started Swish House with. We had this like really tight knit group of hoops junkies. And then we had this killer football program. And there was just all these, and then our girl group of friends were all like stud, like athletes and just overachieving kid. Like we just grew up in this really great little tight knit community of I think overachieving kids and athletes that all like fed off of each other, that all grew up in the same little 4 or 5 year window where a couple of our friends were state champion wrestlers that, wrestled in Indiana. Like there was just like this little window of like 4 or 5 years where this like elite crew of athletes came through our little town that like all of us played together as like from like 3rd grade through high school. And like and just growing up around like a Big Ten quarterback who was a freak of nature, like who was my best friend, was just like, you kind of had to like, you had to kind of step up on everything. Like, so when you grow up around another, like a freakish elite athlete, you almost like have to step up. Like, so there was just a lot of like a crazy little, and it was one of those towns. Like I always joke, like, did you ever watch the show Friday Night Lights? Like I grew up in one of those towns. Like the whole town like went crazy for,
that's fun.
Like, and it just was like, it was like a sports thing. Like, so I don't know, that was like kind of it was my upbringing. It was like what you did. And like, I don't know. So I think that, and you just always feel like you have something to prove, like as like I always felt like, I was like being the underdog, I think. So like I would never want to, I'd love to play for like the tier 2 or tier 3 schools where you can go against the big, like David versus Goliath thing. I don't know. I kind of just have like a chip on my shoulder sometimes, I think, being the youngest, and I don't know. So I think that's, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah.
Really, but,
I was hoping you would say Hillsdale, but that was a good answer too.
It's all Hillsdale.
I'm just kidding.
I know.
Well, it sounds like you really built a life around community.
Yeah.
And now you're in a Chicago community. You were talking about at breakfast this morning with your family.
Yep.
Tell me about, kind of family life between these two business ventures.
So I've been married to my wife, Lindsay. She's not a Hillsdale grad. She went to Bowling Green, BGSU in Ohio. She's a cheerleader there. She and I met after college. We've been in Chicago, since we got married in 2008. I've been in Chicago 2003. She moved there 2006. We got married 2008. So I have a 7th grade son, Johnny, who turns 13 this weekend, which is a big deal. And then my little girl, Mara, is 5th grade. She's 10. And so, we live in Little Italy in downtown Chicago. Like my wife's from Defiance, Ohio, which is a small town, kind of like Hillsdale and Eaton, where I grew up. But we're raising our kids in the city in Chicago. It's a completely different life. Like we live in Little Italy, which is kind of around the west side of downtown. And I, in my day job for Fisher Investments, I travel, 1 or 2 days a week for business and, run Swish House with my 2 partners. And so,
seems like a lot of work.
Ton of work. We're super busy. Yeah. My wife's a teacher, a 2nd grade teacher at a school in Chicago, not at where our kids go to school, at a different school, but, our kids go to, so we're all in like city dwellers, like in Chicago. It's a completely different life. Like
then you both grew up.
Oh my God, the polar opposite.
Yeah.
But we love it. Like Chicago is just an incredible city. Like I never thought in a million years that's where I'd live growing up in rural Ohio, but it's been awesome. It's changed our lives. We love it.
Well, we're very happy to have you here. It's been fun to learn about Swish House and trying to think through the different ways we can promote it. But I'm excited for other alumni to hear about it. And
I think
see
so.
what comes from that. But
indeed, and again,
congratulations.
Thank you. No, we still have a long way to go. Gosh, but like we have a cool plan. I think it's pretty straightforward, and our goal is like hopefully as we expand the next several years, like it's just something that people can do everywhere. You know what I mean? It's that's the goal. It's just to help. It's just to help more people. Like I said, the older I'm getting, I don't know how you guys feel. It's just like the only thing that matters is your health, and if you're happy, if you're feeling good and being around people, just, I think people, if you can facilitate health, community, and it's, a good thing, there's a lot, as we were talking about at breakfast, a lot of divisiveness around here. And I think like hoops and just like sports in general bring people from every political, socioeconomic, religious, basketball and Hillsdale is the reason I have a group of diverse friends from all different races, ages, just the whole, I just think the world needs more. Just bringing people together in a good, positive way. And I think basketball does that. I think more than any other sport.
Well, Jonathon, thank you so much for being here today. And for Colleen McGinnis, this is Doug Goodnow thanking you for joining us on the White and Blue podcast. And may that spirit long remain.